Hello, I'm Steve Barsick-Amstel with High Tech Design Safety. It's been a great year, 2019. Lots of great projects, good times with clients and collaborators and partners. What I'm covering today is how to get through the UL, ATEX, SIMI, and other certification processes based on key lessons we have learned with our clients this year. First off, the key thing to do is to get together with us or your team and determine the scope of the certifications you'll need and the standards involved. This gives you a clear understanding early on in the design process of what you'll need to incorporate in your product to achieve compliance with the standards when it's time to get your product certified, listed, labeled, whatever path you need to take it through. Engage early with your test and certification lab so that when you're designing a process or a product, they have the ability and time to scope what standards and testing will be required. That way you know what the design parameters need to be to meet those standards and codes, and you can design them in early. Once you know what the standards and codes will be, acquire, purchase, download, whatever it is, those standards and codes, so you and your team have them to refer to consistently during the development of your product. If you and your team are new to developing a product to this particular standard or this particular set of codes, whatever it may be, then get training on that. There might be a course that we have online for free, or you might be able to download other white papers. We might have a white paper, but go ahead and get some training on it, because the standard is going to incorporate the things required, yet there is what the test lab has to test for and look for, and there may be some other related standards that you're not aware of. By getting that training early in the design process, you'll be much clearer about how close you are to conforming now and when you're complete. As you move through the design, implement a conformity discovery process. This will early on show you what gaps there are in the product as compared to the standards, and give you a great path to getting conformity at the end of development of the product. This process allows you to get to market quicker and avoid some of the pitfalls and traps that are created if you design past the standard and don't have those requirements built in from the start. Additionally, working through the conformity discovery process will look to find if your product falls in a gray area between standards or outside of standards. This is often the most difficult product to get certified, and it's typical if you are a leading edge company developing something new and unique. There may not be a standard for it. Look to new products to understand that early in the rollout of these new technologies, the standards bodies won't have anything that specifically applies to it. So as part of that conformity discovery process, we will pick 2 or 3 standards which well bracket what you're creating and implement parts of that. And if it is in that gray space between standards or isn't covered at all, we can early get with our lab and other labs to help them understand what's going to be coming to them, so that they and I can develop you a test plan that reaches conformity at the end. It is very difficult if your standard falls between 2 or 3 different standards and the lab isn't prepared for that. That causes really big delays. You will hear during our conformity discovery process about these gray areas, about spaces where your equipment is not particularly well identified in the standard, and then ways that we can help you understand what needs to be designed in. The conformity discovery process will also do a risk analysis on the whole entire product, with special attention to those risks that are not directly dealt with in the standards. As we're moving through the process, be transparent about risks, previous issues, accidents, hazards, and things that have happened with similar products within your company. By being transparent with your evaluators, they can see what might be helpful and how we might be able to more effectively evaluate and certify the product. Be clear about the scope of the evaluation. This is very critical because the evaluators will be setting a length of time to be on site with you to evaluate the equipment. They've evaluated lots of equipment, so they know how long it will take to do the scope presented. However, if they arrive on site and instead of one piece of equipment, there are 4 or 5 separate enclosures that are spread across the factory floor, they will not be able to achieve the results you desire. By sharing the scope of the equipment early, and even maybe putting it in bullet points in an email, like we have the main process chamber, we have a waste chamber that is a separate enclosure remote from the equipment, and additionally remote from the equipment, we have a chemical supply cabinet. Then your evaluator will be able to know how long he needs to spend on site with you to get the work done in a clean and efficient manner and get you the results you really want. During the development of your product, oftentimes you might find out that you need heaters or compressors or additional subsystems to make the process or equipment work the way you would like. As those things develop, just shoot your evaluator or your test lab a quick email saying, look, hey, we found out that we need a compressor in here, and it's going to go in a separate cabinet, and here's how it's going to be powered and where from and things like that. They can quickly get up to speed on what you need. And say you put that compressor cabinet in and you added a large pressure tank. They'll know that you need the pressure equipment directive as well. And they'll be able to show you within the standard what are the requirements for the new parts of this system. Be realistic about how long this process might take. We at High Tech Design Safety are really going to give you a real number. We're going to tell you what it's going to take. Oftentimes people come back to me and say, wow, this other lab said they could do it in 3 weeks, and you told me it was going to take 3 months. And I'm like, yeah, a particular piece of equipment will take 3 months. In the 30 plus years I've been doing this work, I've never seen a test lab that was able to put out an evaluation report on a complex piece of equipment in 3 weeks. And you have to think about your internal processes. I know that I just spent 3 or 4 weeks getting to be an approved vendor for a company that I've already been an approved vendor for decades. Their processes changed, therefore their project slipped, even though, guess what? I'm leaving today on the airplane to go get it done for them. And then the last thing is, as you're developing your product, know what the schedule will likely be. If we share with you that it's going to take 3 or 4 months to get your product through our evaluation process and then listed, be realistic and scope it to your team as, maybe 4.5 or 5 months, because we're not sure what's going to get in the way as we move along. If you come back and you hit that 3.5 or just under 4 month time frame, you're going to be a hero. But if you jump in and tell them, well, we're going to accelerate it and we can probably get it done in less than 3 months, you're setting yourself up or your team up for disappointment. When you share with your team what the expectations of timeline and cost for evaluation, listing, and certification, be sure that you give the bigger number to them. And still, in order to hit the numbers that we provide, your team and us both have to agree to turn things around quickly, to trust each other and move the product rapidly through the process. So if we ask for some documentation, it's not because we just need it for a file. We actually need to inspect it, understand it, and evaluate it so that your equipment can be certified, tested, or listed. Thank you so much for watching this video. We wish you and yours a Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, and Happy New Year. 2019 has been a wonderful, wonderful year. It's been great. Lots of good projects, lots of new friends, lots of new clients, and new team members here at High Tech Design Safety as well. We're continuing to expand our capabilities and wish you and yours the best going into 2020. Thank you for everything. Have a lovely new year.